You built a business people love, but behind the scenes, it's all on you. Vision to Grow is your space to lead with clarity, hire with purpose, and finally breathe again. I'm Chrissy, your no-fluff leadership expert, here to help you hire better and lead teams with less mess. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Vision to Grow, the podcast where we dig into real stories behind growing businesses and leading with intention. I'm Chrissy, the founder of Grow Advantage, and I am so excited for today's guest episode. So today's guest is a woman who turned personal drive into serious business momentum. Eva Hall is the founder of Clean the Nest, a premium residential cleaning company that has built a big reputation in just 2 short years. What started as a bold post in a local mums Facebook group quickly exploded. Within days, Eva was flooded with inquiries, and within months, she'd quit her job, gone all in, and built a business from the ground up, while also navigating a major life transition. Eva's why runs deep. She didn't just want to build a business, she wanted to build a life on her own terms. One where her kids could see what's possible when you truly back yourself. And she's done exactly that. Within 2 years, Eva has a team of 12 and growing, a reputation for reliability, relatability and results, and a waitlist of happy clients. Clean the Nest is setting a new standard in home services, and Eva and her team are just getting started. Plus, Eva is kicking some big revenue goals and is a much-loved client of mine at Grow Advantage. Eva, welcome to the Vision to Grow podcast. I am so excited to have you here. It is so hard for me not to say Grow Advantage. Vision to Grow, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me and all of your kind, encouraging words. Thank you. Yeah,
it's always nice to hear your life rolled out from someone else, isn't it? Your business. Yeah. But I don't know, you have this show in Australia. We have this show in England called This Is Your Life. Yeah. Do you have the same show here?
Yeah, we had it here, but usually you only hear such nice words about people at their funeral, and they're not there to hear it most of the time. So,
Yeah. So good.
Yes, thank you.
Well, it's building you up, which is great. So I really want to find out more about you and share with the audience your story. So let's go back to the beginning. What was your initial kickoff to your entrepreneurial journey, and how did Clean the Nest first come to life?
I had my own cleaners when my kids were quite little and was never really that thrilled with any of them. Then later on, I was working and was also studying a diploma of business online as well during COVID. So I kind of just had this idea, and I spoke to a few girls that I worked with and said, we've got to start a cleaning company. And they were all like, no way. So I pondered with the idea for a little bit and knew that there was a real gap in the market. And in February 2023, I had separated from my husband and I was preparing to move out. And I just decided that that was the time to give it a go and start the business. So, so I came up with a logo and a business name and a website and an email address. And that was it. I just decided that was going to be my side hustle and give it a go.
How old were kiddies at this point, Eva?
2023. So they were 8 and 6.
Yeah, it's a lot, right? So navigating a separation. Why not start a business and look after toddlers and have a job, right? I think that's what...
Exactly.
That's it. That's exactly it. So I think when we've talked, you mentioned really early on getting absolutely flooded with inquiries. Was that a surprise to you, or how did you manage that?
Look, I knew that the business and the concept, had real bones about it. But I suppose I was surprised at how quickly I was flooded. And so just by putting up a logo saying there's a new cleaner in town on a local mum's Facebook page, after 4 days I had to take it down. I had a full spreadsheet of names and contact numbers and email addresses. And while I was still working at my other job, I would go to these houses in my lunch break and before and after work and do site visits, meet clients, go home, make a quote for them. And on my day off on a Wednesday and a Saturday morning, I started cleaning.
Crazy. I love that though. It's just like that unbridled passion, right? It's just get straight into it. And I mean, a little bit more context about Clean the Nest. So I think I've said this to you before. I actually love anything housekeeping, babysitting businesses, cleaning businesses. Those are real like nuts and bolts core service businesses where we know people need those services.
Yeah.
But what makes Clean the Nest different, and talk about the areas that you service?
Yeah. So we started just, back in my COVID 5-kilometre radius, it's just like the local suburbs, all the school mums, and we just started there. And I think the point of difference that I really wanted it to have was that we were just like our clients. And we'd say, we're just like you. We get it. We're busy. We're mums. We have jobs. We're running around to birthday parties and school activities and sports and everything on the weekend. Like, buy back your time and trust us. Let us be your friends. You're letting us into your home. I wanted it to be a very personable, relatable, reliable brand. And I think that's still true with every hire that we make. And the team that we send into people's houses, it's a privilege and, very humbling to go into people's houses and be part of their lives and, watch their babies take steps and be really trusted and friends with them.
I love that. It's really inspirational. And I think you talked a little bit to me a while ago about your personal why, about, when you grew up, and I think you like cleaning, right? I think we'd established that I was not really into cleaning, better with the ADHD meds, but I think you were saying you loved it and it was something that had always been a part of your life, although you had this whole corporate career, but you did actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, I did. And my mum always worked when I was a kid. My mum, in my teenage years, worked at night. And so, she would sleep all day and I'd go off to school and come home and, my dad and I'd make dinner, and then on the weekends she'd be asleep. And my mum hated cleaning, not a cleaner. And so I used to do it as a teenager at home, and I'd procrastinate from studying and all those things, and I would clean. And that was sort of my escape or my outlet. And, I'm very meticulous and very, very OCD on some things, and my team will tell you that. And, so I grew up cleaning because, I liked a clean home, and my mum hated cleaning. So I suppose, thanks, Mum.
It's you got to get your inspiration where you get it, right? So Eva, we've been working together, and we started working together just last month, so in April of this year, and I'd love for you to tell the audience how that came about. So you'd posted in Facebook group and then got smashed by my former clients with tags from me, but tell me what it was that you thought you were looking for at the time.
I felt like at that time, late March, I was everything to everyone, and I was being pulled in so many different directions, and just answering every question. And I was not going to be okay for much longer. Answering all questions to teams, clients, quotes, invoices, my kids, my parents, school comms, everything. It was just, I was drowning. And we were going away for the first week of the school holidays with my parents and my brother and his family. And I actually nearly pulled the pin on going away. I was just like, there's just no way I can go. I'm so stressed. I've got so much to do. It was too much. So I thought I was asking for a VA. I thought, I don't know what I need, but I need someone to help take the load now. We always talk about our clients and easing the load for them and the mental load in the house. And I was drowning. So I thought, I'll ask for a VA. Someone can recommend one, and I'll meet with a couple and I'll just get them started. And sort of I didn't really know what I was looking for, but again, I was inundated, and it reminded me of when I first posted about the business. And I actually made another spreadsheet of just all the recommendations that people had made, every business that they tagged. And I thought, the ones that have been tagged multiple times, I'm going to go to one of them. I need to contact some of them. And I think I had a meeting with someone on the Saturday night, and it was still like a 2 or 3 week turnaround to even get started. And then we made an appointment for the Monday morning, and I was in Phillip Island for our holiday, and we had our meeting. And I just felt so validated by just talking to you, and that you could see my vision and understood my pain. And we booked in our VIP day for the next week once I was home from my holiday, and And yeah, I didn't know what I was looking for, but I think once I found you, I knew that you got it, and I felt really comfortable in that and knew that it was going to be okay. I just had to get through that week, and then it would be all right.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really valid. I think it was, and it's really funny. I think, like what you're saying is you reach out to the people who got multiple other people recommend them, and that's typically how it goes when people come and work with me. They're like, I just need this one person to come in and fix everything in the business. And it's like, actually, we need to take a little bit of a step back and look at what do you want? And we did a lot of work on that, didn't we? Like when we first met up, we were like, okay, you talk me through your vision and what role you actually want to do and where it's going, what the current team looks like, what's eating up your time. And then we actually designed 2 positions for your business. So we designed an operations assistant to come in and manage all of those inquiries, because with the nature of the cleaning business, you're getting all of your client inquiries coming in and then all of your team inquiries coming in. And that is a job in itself. And we know that because we created a whole job to do that. And then you were doing that and then not ever getting to do the strategic part of the business, which is what you want to be doing. And then, occasionally, because the systems weren't quite set up right, if a cleaner dropped out, you will end up doing their work too. So you end up doing like 3 people's jobs. And then And exactly like you said, because the demand is always in there, you don't need to go fishing for clients because you're always it's always there. But essentially you have massive goals and you want to scale the business and grow that. But it was all just imploding. So I love, like I said, I love your type of business because once you get these nuts and bolts right, there is no end to how big you can scale it. It's just as, and like we talked about, it's like, how big do you want this to be? And I know you're not messing about. So it was so exciting to find each other and bring that vision to life. What would you say was the biggest change for you once you understood that and you knew that you could get real quality help and get those systems sorted and it was scalable exactly how you wanted it to be?
I think for me, the first thing was that I didn't just need a VA that I thought I needed, that I could afford, that might just ease my load a little bit. I needed this whole other person that, is a bit of a risk. And I would say I'm not really a risk taker, but in the last 2 years, I've taken a lot of risks. And so I'm a bit more risky now. So I think knowing that that was someone that I needed and acknowledging that, or that you could see that, whereas everybody else in my life, I guess, is a bit more safe. And how can you afford that role? And, have you planned for that person? I'm like, well, no, I haven't, but I need them. And we're going to plan for that now so that when they come on board, we have got the systems in place and that, I can focus on growing the business so that they can take over the day to day. So I think that was kind of the first thing, that you aligned with me and my desire or want for that person, and that everybody else had sort of shunned that. And then also,
who was everybody else? Can I just jump in there? Who was everybody else?
Oh, family and friends and so, but it's hard not to listen to that noise, And so, I think that was the first thing that really struck me and connected with me. It was like, you don't just need this person, you actually need this person. And I was like, oh, thank God someone gets it. Like, so.
When you knew it, you 100% knew. And it's, who do we take our advice from? Like, we're taking advice from people we love, but people who want us to be safe and people who, I think we had this conversation, didn't we, about it's just a little business. They want to kind of keep it small because they're nervous for you that if it grows, you'll get stretched even more. But the reality is, we know, and you can see this happening already. Like once your ops assistant, who is quite new, as we're talking in the middle of May, she's still quite new, but she's really experienced and she's going to get up to speed quick. And she's working like 20, 25 hours a week. And that was all work you were doing before, right? But you free yourself up for 20 to 25 hours a week. We know there is no limit in terms of demand. And we know now that you've got amazing hiring processes to hire more cleaners. So therefore, you understand and I understand there is no way you can't make more money, but you can't if you've got no time to onboard new cleaners, hire new cleaners. Like you are stuck. And it's a initial outlay to then massively scale the business because you are free to advertise for clients, meet new clients, talk more about the business And I think and I'm sure every listener will resonate with that. Like, especially if your family are not entrepreneurs, they love you, they want to keep you safe, and they're scared. Like, especially when both Eva and I are single mums, like they're scared for you when you're spending money that they're worried that you don't have, and thinking maybe you're going through your midlife crisis. You know, and I think not necessarily people get it. So I hear you, and I completely see the path forward for you.
Yeah, great. Well, I did buy a car as well, so I might be having a midlife crisis.
Is it like
for
a
the
red
business
fluffy sports car?
no, it's for the business, so it's okay. It's a tax deduction. It's okay.
So tell us about hiring those roles, and what was the process like for you? So you hired your ops role. You worked with my team, so the beautiful Sophia, to hire those roles. And how did it feel being supported in that way?
Amazing, because just for, a bit of backstory, it was also school holidays and Easter and Anzac Day. So we had 3 public holidays in a week, and it was school holidays. My kids also had a curriculum day the first day back to school. And because I didn't have enough staff, I was also cleaning every day. And so I came home from this holiday in Phillip Island. I was just like, had my one day with you, and then I was just cleaning flat out. So there was no way I had time to do any admin, let alone sift through resumes and do screening calls and all the rest. And once your team, so Sophia, had screened and gone through applications, I was interviewing sometimes from my laptop in the car, and because I was cleaning all day. And so if I had to also do the recruitment for that, I would still not have probably anybody new on my team. I'd still be just coping. And I'm a very organized person. I've come from an event management background, an office management background. I am the organizer of all the social groups. But in the last couple of months, I feel like my team and I and the business are just day to day to day. And it's an awful feeling. And so this is sort of the first week that I feel like I'm at least getting ahead now, because I have my operations assistant and the schedule's sorted for the girls for the next couple of weeks, and the new team have settled in and they've got a buddy to work with each day, and just how quickly that can change because the new team have come on. But I also wasn't the only person doing the recruiting and the hiring and the whole process.
And that's the thing, isn't it? So we spent a lot of time together on the strategy and understanding what the bigger picture was, because we needed that in order to fix those immediate problems. So it was like, what's the big picture? Where do you want to go? And we dug into that a lot. Like, what makes you happy? What lights you up? Do you like sales? Do you like client facing stuff? And you were very much like, we'll dig into this a bit more because it's really exciting, but the bigger vision for the business. But I know what lights you up. You're more like a sales, like face person in the room, like real, that visionary, but also just want to be clear, like you are completely capable of all of the operational strategic elements of the business, but it's just not sustainable to be working fully on delivery, operations, cleaning and strategy. Nobody can do that because they're one person, and you're a mum and you've got kids and you're essentially mum and dad because you're a single mum. So you just needed to get another player in who got it and could hold you and see that vision. And then that's what I said to you on that call. We need to immediately fix these holes now to free you up, but then also work on that bigger long-term strategy to get you into that role. And we needed that team in there to get that. And then we've got a whole plan for your strategy. You know, it's all of those things. And I talk about leadership, team and hiring because a lot of the time for so many business owners, it is all happening concurrently. And it needs to, and fast, to free you up. So it's really exciting that you experienced that. And as a result of working together, there's lots of changes that are coming to, simplify your client experience. And there is a clear path forward of how you can rapidly scale. How does that feel?
Good, exciting. It's just, I think, removing myself from what I'm so used to just to, and because sometimes it's just the overwhelm. I know that I need to do X, Y, Z, but I'm so overwhelmed with the day-to-day that I have no time to focus on those things. So I think now it's exciting to think, okay, great. Every month we know we're going to do this, and every month we're going to take on, someone new, and we're always hiring because, there is a bit of turnover in this role and it is hard work, and, people get sick and cars break down and all the rest. But I think, having that running all the time as opposed to just hiring because we're too busy or because someone leaves. And so using that to kind of grow and not replenish, but do you know what I mean? Like have the backup plan in place that if someone was to not be able to work, it's not me again jumping in. And so having that clear path of the growth, again, I don't feel like he's going to rely on me, but we have a target to hit so that we can continue to grow, so that we can serve more people, so that we can serve more areas. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And I think it's completely a scalable business, as we said before. Like, the demand's always there. So for Eva, we've sort of talked about always having a pathway for new cleaners to come in. There's an ongoing passive attraction strategy all the time. And then you ramping up when you want to ramp up, when it's sustainable, when you guys have got the energy to do the interviews and those pieces. But because those systems are going to become easeful, you're not having to hold yourself back because you're not scrambling. Yeah. So it's just such an exciting business to work for. And I want to talk about your holiday. So this was such a big goal for me personally. When you hopped on that call and you said, I'm on holiday. Like, I'm here on this call with you, Chrissy, on the first day of my holiday. And I was like, mate, this is Easter school holidays. I want you on holiday in the July school holidays or before. Tell us about that.
I'm not waiting till July. Oh, thank God. So I remember, what was it? It must have been the Thursday before Good Friday. And I was coming home we'd all been cleaning for like 10 hours that day to squeeze everybody in. And I drove home and I was like, I felt so good about, the recruitment process, I guess, that I was like, right, how long must I stick around with this new person before I can go on a holiday? And we sort of agreed maybe a week or 2 weeks wasn't entirely fair, but if I hung around for 4 to 6, that might be all right. So I plan to be in Queensland, relaxing by a pool, reading a book, someone bringing me Aperol spritzers in the middle of June.
So excited.
And you'll be happy to know that this week I also booked flights to Bali for August.
Oh, yes. So 2 holidays.
I know. So
this makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. And like, that's why we do it, right? I mean, we need to hustle early on in business, but we need to have a plan to get out of the hustle.
Yeah.
Our kids are only little ones. I think the single mum thing, having a holiday to yourself is just vitally, essentially important, because when parenting time is on your time, you are mum and dad, and like mum and dad, but with no additional person supporting you. Like, it's all in. It's a lot. Like, those respite periods are essential so that you can do it all again the next time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I want to talk more about you and your role and where the business is going, because I'm really excited about this. So this was the thing that, like, when I started talking to you on that call, I was like, yes, I'm so excited about this. So as your time is getting freed up, how are you feeling like that's changing your energy and the way your brain is working for the next steps and stages forward with your business growth?
So because I am my own worst enemy, I get 1 week of, relief, and I'm like, what next? So Clean the Nest is the baby business. And, once I have that humming nicely that I don't need to be a part of, every day, all day, I have started or own the business names for multiple other home-related businesses. And so I envisage that Clean the Nest would be one of, 5 sort of brother-sister businesses under a big Nest umbrella. And I think when I was 19 or 20, I wanted to be a wedding planner. But I didn't want to be a wedding planner. I wanted to be a business owner of a wedding planning business. And I wanted it to be called Adam and Eva, because I'm Eva and I don't know, whatever, Adam and Eva events or something like Adam and Evie events or something like that. But I was just like, I can just imagine walking into this workplace in the morning and there's like a light and a desk and there's people working there, and I just wanted that. I wanted to have a business. So I guess 20 years later, I still see that. I still see that, I'm going to walk in one day and there's this office and it's clean the nest, style the nest, sort the nest, build the nest, move the nest, all the things, that we can be a one-stop shop for people who need home services or want home services, because to be honest, most of these are, luxury services, not necessities. So that if you were selling a home, we can style it, we can clean it, we can help you move. There'll be a package for if you don't want to pack anything, we'll pack it and unpack it, and all these things that people are time poor, and moving house is painful, and cleaning your oven is awful, and vacate cleans are, hard work. So to have that can grow into multiple businesses that, I love houses, I love property, I love real estate. And I just kind of feel like all these things throughout my life that I've enjoyed and loved, I can kind of tie together now, and they all sort of fit.
It's so beautiful. And I think your vision is really strong. And like we talked about, there is a pathway forward for Clean the Nest to just be a business that you oversee. You have a meeting about once or twice a week, and it just ticks and it makes money. And cleaning businesses are amazing. Like other service-based businesses, I think, hairdressing, beauty is kind of the same. Like if you know how long a service takes and what the outlay of that service is, like, so in your case, the outlay cost of a service will be the worker plus the cleaning products. And then everything else is profit essentially that goes back into the business. It's so scalable because you just do that times 10, times 20, and we talked about with Eva's business growing like a pod system for it, which is really exciting. So you've got operations assistant / operations manager that sits over one pod. You go for one area and then you rinse, repeat over and over and over again until you're taking over the whole of Victoria, New South Wales. So Eva's in Melbourne, but there is no reason that it wouldn't scale because those services are so clearly in demand. So absolutely a clear pathway forward. And then once you've got that revenue at the place that you want, then you target the next company and so on and so forth. It's such foundational work that you're doing, but the demand is there. As long as you can keep up with resourcing the demand and hiring the people, there's no reason it won't make money. It's just about really focusing the energy on building, I said the supply, but the resources to service that demand.
Yeah. And for me, it's, obviously ensuring that the quality and the training maintains at a really high standard. And you'll be happy to know that because I've had so much spare time, I have filmed my training videos and had my new VA speed them up and chop them and do the things, and they'll be put out on some sort of a platform or portal for the staff, and all new cleaners that come on board will have to see all the same training videos.
We didn't even talk about your VA either. So I found you the VA as well, right? I think because that's what you were like, oh yeah, I'll give you a VA, but we'll also sort out your ops.
Yeah.
So I got you a VA as well, and she's been there for about 3 weeks now, right?
Yeah, about that. And so I've been sending her stuff and photos and things for socials. But yeah, I think knowing that someone can do something with the videos once I filmed them, I decided that I really couldn't put it off much longer, because filming the videos wasn't the problem. It was, what do I do with it once I filmed it? But the fact that I could just upload it. No.
And the thing is, Thea, your VA, as we identified, like she's a smart woman, and she's got years and years of experience of video editing and social media management. And like, there's also business owners who are not degree qualified in marketing, or she's like marketing and finance, right? We are not qualified in this, and we're spending so much time doing these tasks that you can hire someone for at a minimal cost offshore.
I can't even make a reel.
You can spend your money on strategic stuff that's going to make you more money.
Yeah, exactly. So I've made the videos, or I've started. I've made 6. So we're good. We're getting there.
Amazing. So we know what's on the cards for Clean the Nest Empire. I would love to know what you've discovered about your zone of genius during this time. And what you love. I think because we did do a lot of focus on what you love and what lights you up, having that space and that breathing space, how has it allowed you to think about what you love and reignite your passion?
So I do love the client relationship side of things. And back in the day, I'd done account management and that relationship management. And I love that. And, you know, in events, I'd manage teams, and in office management, I'd manage teams and staff and all the rest. And I love that. But I had no time to give to my team. And so I'm excited that once Melanie, my operations assistant, you know, is very comfortable in the role and has had a lot of training and time with me to get on the same page, I'm actually excited to go out and see clients, do a bit of quality control, spend some time with my team, one-on-one. Let's chat about, you know, what works, what doesn't work, build the relationships. And yeah, so I'm excited about that because that hasn't been happening. And I think I haven't had the time to give to them. I've just been, you know, chaotic and, you know, I'm just living day to day, week to week, just really surviving. And I know that they felt that. So I'd love to have, you know, time to give back to them and build that, give some feedback, you know, take on their feedback because I'm sure they've got some. And yeah, go back out, meet clients, go and see some new houses and grow the business, and the relationships is key, really.
And I think what I love so much about everything you've just said is it's exactly like the job description we talked about. The other thing that I love for is for your type of business, yes, client-facing stuff is so important, and that's your brand and that's your reputation and will always be pivotal in any business owner's role. But for a heavily in-demand service business like Clean the Nest, staff retention, having happy staff, having amazing team processes, and listening to feedback. I'm really like, you don't have a business if you don't have clean. You have a cleaning business if you don't have cleaners to service your clients, right?
Absolutely.
And and this was so important for me in working with you. I work so closely with my clients, and we talked about this on our first call. I was like, Eva, I really need you to be a business owner that cares about your team, or I can't help you, you know?
Yeah.
I need you to be someone who's really passionate, who cares about those relationships. We pay well, we look after them, we hear feedback, and I can get behind a business like that that's there to be impactful and make a difference, and is there for all the right reasons. You know, looking after our team is so important. It's just, it's not about being a boss. It's not about being a leader. It's about being a leader, just to be really clear. You know, it's leading by example and kindness. I think we talked about kindness and how important that is. You know, once you become a leader and you're someone's boss, you're a dinner table conversation with their partner. They're going home and they're talking about you. And I think it's really clear that you need to think about who you want to be in that conversation.
Yeah. And I had been that kind of middle level manager in multiple roles previously, that I was the manager for the teams, but I was, you know, also reporting to the directors and supporting them and assisting them. And the thing that bothered me most was that most directors and owners of businesses don't care about their staff. They really don't. And I was always in this like really torn feeling of like trying to support directors and owners of businesses, but fully on the side of the staff. Like they don't feel valued. They don't feel appreciated. They don't feel respected. And that's a really tough place to sit in. And, you know, my two roles before I decided to start my own business were like that. They were family businesses of directors that really didn't value their staff. It was everyone's replaceable and we pay you. And that was kind of it. And even last night I mentioned to you, I went out for dinner. I messaged you on the way to my dinner actually, but with a guy that I used to work with at one of my previous roles. And he said, you know, I don't even know where they are anymore. And they just didn't care about us. You were the only manager that ever cared about the staff and the things that you did for us. And you went into, you know, like just culture related and relationship related, because those things matter. They're not hard, but they matter.
But don't you think it's something, I really care about that stuff. And isn't that why we go into our own businesses? Because you get so frustrated with these things.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've been really fortunate. Like I've had incredible leaders for the most part. It's been very rare that my direct people leader they've been frankly amazing. So I think that's why I have a real passion for the leadership part of Grow Advantage. But then the part I would probably find really frustrating is like the bureaucracy and the processes that nobody challenges. I think that's where my frustration is all the time. It's why I like working with small business and building those systems for the ground up, because they don't need to be a problem. It's just, this is done this way. It's really hard when you're busy, and far out, it is so easy. Any business coach or any consultant would say this. It's easy to look at other businesses and go, well, you could do this and you can do that. But you also need to be looking at your own business all the time to say, how can we refine it? How can we make it easier for our team to communicate? How can we make it so that they're not coming to me for all of the questions and really attacking that? And if you don't have the energy to do it and it's not your zone of genius, that's fine. But find someone to help you do that, because the impact is so great.
Yep, absolutely.
It's having those additional eyes on your business. For me, I'm probably not going to go to someone about hiring and strategy because it's not my weakness, it's my strength. Yeah. But absolutely, I'm going to go to them about, I'm probably going to love marketing the same way as someone who is a marketing professional is going to love it. I'm always going to need to invest in that and that knowledge and expertise.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, I've loved talking all about Clean the Nest and our working relationship and sharing that with the audience, but I want to play a little game. So you're my first guinea pig of this game that we're going to play called the CEO Shuffle. So I have a question bank of 15 questions, and I'm going to ask you to pick numbers 1 to 15, and I will ask you a random question and you can answer it for me.
I'm terrified.
It's not prepared, but we will see how we go. And if you hate it, we might scrap it from future editions, but let's give it a whirl. So,
all right.
Give me a number 1 to 15.
2.
Okay. What is one habit that keeps your head in the game?
Oh, that's a hard one to start with.
Do you have any habits or rituals that you do daily, weekly?
Look, yeah, I try and do some mindfulness, but I usually fall asleep. Yeah, gosh.
Any new habits?
Can we go back to that?
Maybe we can build some new habits. Maybe you can build in mindfulness now with a bit of your extra time.
I do feel like this week my new habit has been that I switch off, whereas that's not been a long-standing habit, but that'll be one going forward. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Next number between 1 and 15?
7.
Okay. This is easier, Eva. You like this?
Good.
What is your go-to coffee order and how many times a day do you have it?
I'll have a medium skinny latte in a takeaway cup, whether I'm sitting in or taking away.
Oh, really?
Yes, it stays hotter for longer and I think it tastes different.
Well, I trust you because you're from Melbourne.
Yes.
And I have lived in Melbourne, Sydney and Perth and can absolutely vouch for the rumours are true. The coffee is best in Melbourne.
Once a day. Only 1 coffee a day.
That's good. That's good strength. I have an Italian last name, an Italian ex-husband, and one of the many takeaways that came from that relationship was a full-blown caffeine addiction. So I have to really watch it. I've got it down to 2 a day, so that's not too bad. What's one boundary you set that has changed your business?
It's not changed yet, but it's changing in that I am learning to not just provide the answers because it's easier, but allowing people to find the answers.
Amazing.
And not always needing to come to me for that.
I think that's a skill in life, isn't it? Like I'm trying to do that with I'm a very inquisitive little 6-year-old boy. Yeah. And he asks amazing questions. And quite frankly, at the moment, it's questions that he knows more about than I know. Stuff he's learning in school that I learned 35 years ago.
Yeah.
So quite often it's when someone asks you a question, a client, a team member, your kids, partners, what have you, whatever your situation is, it's, well, what do you think? Like, have you even thought about the question before? It's just come out your mouth and you're asking for an answer externally. I think that's huge. It's just pause and also just not jump on it, right?
Yeah. And it's so easy to just fix the problem and answer the question, but you're just enabling people to, just continue to come back to you. So I think, because it is quicker. It's quicker just to give the answer, right? But it's not quicker long term if you keep getting asked the same thing over and over.
Exactly. I think I did a reel on this the other day or a post on this the other day, and it was like the most expensive question in business is, have you got 5 minutes? Right? Someone asking, have you got 5 minutes? Which is great if then you foster a culture where people come to you every day for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes. And when does that conversation ever take 5-10 minutes? Because then they start talking about like what's going on at home with their kids and all the rest of it. And that's your time, and your time is your commodity you're not getting back.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're building this, like, if you do it, it's this, they're not learning to self-soothe. I don't know if that's the right way, but they're not learning to use their brains in that way. And you're building a dependency problem. So I love that. I think that is a massive takeaway. Thank you so much for sharing.
No problem.
I think we are rounding the end, Eva, and it's been so incredible to have you on the podcast today. But not only that, I have absolutely loved working alongside you. I know that we are going to continue our relationship for a long time to come. Your story is truly inspiring, and I know there is such big things coming from the Nest empire that you are building twig by twig.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Branch by branch.
Branch by branch. Yeah, exactly.
Lots of nests in the branches.
All the branches. I am so excited for you. Where can people follow you and your journey to see the magic that you are creating for Melbourne and beyond?
So Clean the Nest is at Clean the Nest on Instagram. We just did a Mother's Day giveaway this week, and I'm super excited because today we get to announce our winner. One lucky mum is going to win a house clean, a facial, a hair session, a bottle of gin, and a beautiful cake biscuit package from our friends just a couple of doors down. So at Clean the Nest on Facebook and Instagram, I have started a Instagram profile for myself, which is not my private one, but will be my, personal brand. Yes. And so I think that that's going to kick off pretty soon. And I think that's Eva Lampard. Eva Lampard.
Will you share it with me?
Yeah.
And then when this show goes live, which will be, it's probably looking to be June, July. But when it's live, I will absolutely add it to the show notes so everyone can follow along. But thank you so much for being here. If you love chats like this, we're going to have more of them on Vision to Grow podcast. But it's been amazing. If you love the episode, make sure you tag myself and Eva on socials. And I'll be back next time. Thanks so much again, Eva.
Thank you for having me. And I will just end by saying thank you so much for believing in me and seeing the vision and just constantly being excited for me and the business. And that has been evident in just daily chats and comms and voice messages and all the rest. And even when I felt like totally inundated and I'm like, I can't even make the most of our time together because I'm cleaning, but just the messages that were always just, hey, I'm doing this. I hope you're well. Super exciting. I've done this. I've sent you this, blah, 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 blah. The amount that, you personally have achieved for me in that time, it would take me a year. Like, honestly, it would. And the fact that you obviously know so much that I don't know, and you can utilize platforms and websites and stuff that I'm not familiar with and that terrify me and I'm learning. But honestly, like, the amount that you've done in such a small time has been incredible. And I'm super grateful that I found you and that whoever tagged you, multiple people tagged you on that initial post. I don't know who they are, but send them my thanks.
Emma Maddie, big shout out to Emma Maddie. I think we're a couple of them, and Karina.
There you go.
All of whom I hope to get on the podcast as well. But thank you so much for your time,
thank
Eva.
you. And Sophia as well, and the whole team, so great. Loved it. It's been a great experience. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And until next time.
Audience exclusive.